Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here today to do the Burden of Proof tag. So this is a tag that celebrates Jacqueline from 6 Minutes for Me. If you have not checked out her channel, which I highly doubt that you haven't if you're here in BookTube, she's amazing, and she's an Australian that lives in Texas right now. And in celebration and honor of her recent success in passing the Texas bar exam, which is no joke, Britta Bowler put together this tag. It's the Burden of Proof tag. And I think it's so clever. It's so smart. It required a lot of thinking and pulling through all of my Goodreads lists and trying to make sure that I had everything together and made me second guess and question things. And I recognized gaps in my reading history. So all of those things are great. And what I love about these tags is the forcing you to think differently about the books that you've already read and how you would categorize them and describe them. So without further ado, in honor of Jacqueline, let's jump right into the Burden of Proof tag. So the first, I'll put the original tag in there, and then I'll also link to Jacqueline's channel as well. So the first question is regarding, and these are really brilliantly put around different concepts that lawyers have to do, because Britta is also a lawyer. So the first one is billable hours. And so the question is, find a book in which money plays an important role. So for that, I have two books that I want to talk about. The very first one is one that came out last year, The French Exit by Patrick deWitt. So this is satirical, really biting, sharp, snooty, hilarious comedy, satire about this family, the Francis and Malcolm Price. So they have been known in New York circles as being exceedingly wealthy. And then they find out after the death of her husband, his father, that they have nothing. And so it's, if you, like me, like those riches to rags stories, this might be right up your alley. It is really, really funny. There's heart in it, but yeah, if you like biting satire and comedy, this one might be for you. I'm a huge fan of his, The Sister Brothers is also excellent, and one of the books that got my husband into reading. So Patrick deWitt will always be a hero of mine. The second one that I'd like to talk about for this one is Golden Hill by Francis Spufford. This is a really, if you like historical stories, this one's fantastic. It's set in old New York, and still during colonial days. And a gentleman comes off one of the ships and goes straight to a bank and is told that he needs to withdraw 1,000 pounds and sets everything into motion. 1,000 pounds at that point was an astronomical amount of money. And so the bank, of course, tries to push him off and say, well, we don't have it. We have to gather it. Who are you? Is this note of credit really valid? And in the meantime, while he's has to wait to get this money to go back to London, all these hijinks ensue. It is, the detail of this book is unbelievable. The richness of the story. It's a little bit of an adventure story. I could not recommend it highly enough. I think it was fantastic. I think I gave it a 4-star when I read it the first time. But yeah, money plays a big part in that one. So those are two that I would recommend there. The second question is Pacta, sunt, servanda, and that is a modern classic with a legal twist that everyone should read. So the first one that everyone always thinks about is To Kill a Mockingbird. And of course, I love To Kill a Mockingbird. But and this is where I realized that my reading history is really sparse when it comes to courtroom dramas. I prefer to watch something like that. I'm really a big fan of the old Law and Order series. I just love, it's just so nice when it all wraps up at the end. It's one of the few parts of life that actually work out that way. But I don't read a lot of courtroom dramas. So I took this outside of the courtroom setting and thought about the legal state of women and what women were able and unable to do. And from that lens, I picked Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. And so there are legal aspects of this that are involved in the plot that I don't want to spoil. But there is a really fantastic and stunning twist that occurs where the legal system and and what women were able to do and not able to do comes into play. So I would highly recommend, if you've not read Fingersmith, it is phenomenal historical thriller. Next up is Construction Law, and a book that dazzles you with its complex structure. So this is one that I'm not sure if many people have read. It's part of a trilogy, and it's The Nacilla Dream by Agustin Fernandez Malo. And this has been translated from Spanish. This is very, very, very modern. So the construction, this is almost, it feels like a mirage. It feels like it's not a series of vignettes, even though it can feel that way. There's an interweaving of different stories, but this is a very contemporary look at modern life through all sorts of different lenses. There's like a collage feel about it where things pile on top of each other. They talk about the history of computers. There's all these strands of film is in here, different ideas and pieces. If you need a plot, don't try this. If you want to engage in interesting ideas and try something a little abstract and a little unknown, but something that still pulls you in because the material is so interesting, Nacilla Dream might be for you. So I wanted to do a plug for this one. I haven't read the other two. I have the second and I need to get the third. But oh man, this is an interesting book. The Franklin Rule of Evidence, which is a book with an unreliable narrator. So for this, I chose Transcription, which was the latest work from Kate Atkinson. And this is where she subverts the spy thriller novel. It's the story of a woman, Juliet Armstrong, who was very, very young. She was a teenager when she was pulled into work as a transcriptionist / spy. And there's some timeline challenges that happen with the story where we start seeing, because we see her as an older woman, and she thinks she sees one of the people that she worked with in the war decades and decades earlier. And that kind of prompts some thinking. Something happens to her, and you think that there's an ominous sense that karma is catching up with her. The reason that this is unreliable narrator is less because she's an unreliable narrator per se, than much more that she is a straight out fabricist. She's a liar. So she is just is very natural at lying, very natural at deceiving people and telling untruths. And so you always wonder how much of it is coming through in the story that is being told to you. So that is Transcription by Kate Atkinson. The next one, the Roe v. Wade, Strong Female Characters. Oh, I love this one. And of course, I have to talk about my favorite book so far this year, Women Talking by Miriam Toews. So this one, absolutely so many strong women who have historically been unable to enter into the world. They've been in essence cloistered in this Mennonite community, but they are the fortitude and the strength that they have and how they address a horrifying act that has happened to almost all of them repeatedly as they have been attacked by members of their own families and community at night while they were asleep after being drugged for maybe even years. So they're dealing with the consequence of that, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do. What is their decision? How do they want to move forward? What does justice look like for them? So this is absolutely strong female characters. This has it in abundance. The next one is Grand Jury, a book with grand set of characters. So for me, when I think of grand characters and I think of that kind of sweeping, large epic that takes you someplace and drops you into all these different lenses of different points of view and different people, one of my most favorite is Arundhati Roy's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. I just found this book to be an absolute delight, not easy to read. She does not bow down to readers. You are expected to just jump in and figure things out. But the characters in this book are phenomenal, beautifully rendered, very deeply crafted, beautiful, beautiful characters that span the social structure in India and Pakistan, in the Kashmir region and Old Delhi. Really beautiful, highly recommend for that grand sweep of characters. And then Malpractice, a book that you love that featured an unlikable character, preferably a professional. So I'm gonna play with this one a little bit. One of my favorite unlikable characters comes from The Door by Magda Szabo. And I read this book immediately after finishing the Ferranti series, the Elena Ferranti Neapolitan series, because I wanted complex, difficult, challenging, real female relationship stories, and this is one of them. So this story is about a woman writer, a woman named Magda, who is a writer, and she needs to hire a housekeeper because she needs to write. She doesn't have enough time. She needs to ensure that she has the focus to be able to write, and she doesn't, and so she needs to hire somebody to do the chores around her home. And so she tries to hire Eminence, and Eminence is even though she's a housekeeper, she has a sense of self and purpose and place that elevates her to professional. And so in her mind, she is interviewing these people to see if she wants to work with them and if they are worthy of her time. So I loved that aspect of her self-reliance and her sense of her purpose and her value and where her boundaries are. You will never find a character that has better boundary setting than this woman here. So this is The Door by Magda Szabo. And then the last, let's see, she had bonus question, a South African author that you love. So for me, I love Lauren Bukes. She's done some fantastic science fiction work set in South Africa, which I'm a huge fan of. So I think that she would be wonderful. And then there was a book about animals in an unusual setting. And I have to say this one, I don't know if I know any. Another opportunity for a really interesting, the only one I can think would be The Master and the Margarita because of the cat. But I will tell you, I have not read it yet. It's on my list. One exciting thing is that the cover that was just recently reissued is done by a famous tattoo artist who is friends with my husband, and so this is a stunning cover that is very beloved in my home because of that reason. So to have a connection to a classic was a proud moment for us. The next one is Oh, it says partners in crime, tag some fellow booktubers. So I think everyone that I would tag has already done this. So I will open it up to anyone who wants to do this. I would definitely say check out Jacqueline's amazing channel and see if this is something you would like to do in honor of her. So congratulations again, Jacqueline, and thank you so much, Britta, for putting this tag together. Thanks. Bye.